The discovery of gold in California triggered the California Gold Rush, which was one of the most exciting periods in American history. The find sparked a stampede of prospectors to the territory. California's population expanded dramatically, making it eligible for statehood. President Zachary Taylor supported California's entry into the Union as a free state, having the California Gold Rush tied together our country to be a coast-to-coast country. The turning point of the gold rush was discovering gold itself and bringing everyone there.
The California Gold Rush began on January 24, 1848, when James W. Marshall found gold at Sutter's Mill in Loma, California. He was building a sawmill with other laborers. This began one of the largest human migrations in history, as 500,000 people from around the world descended upon California in search of instant wealth. In August of 1848, the New York Herald printed the news of the discovery, and the rush for gold accelerated into a stampede.
James Marshall was a strict, paranoid carpenter from New Jersey. He was helping Mr. Sutter, the owner of the land, build a sawmill. "Boys," Mr. Marshall told the group of laborers who was helping him build the sawmill, "by God, I believe I have found a gold mine." He had actually found the ignition switch for one of the most massive migrations in human history, the California Gold Rush. The name explains it very well. It was very much a rush. More than 90,000 people had made their way to California in the 2 years following Marshall's discovery at Sutter's Mill. Of these, perhaps 50,000 to 60,000 were Americans, and the rest were from other countries. Most of the people that came to California came for the gold. More than 300,000 people made their way to California by 1854. The sudden movement of humanity tore families apart and stripped towns of a large percentage of their young men. It changed the country's view of the relationship between wealth and labor, and it made certain that California would always be a different kind of place in America. The gold rush was a turning point because of the obsession to acquire wealth quickly. There were many other gold and silver rushes, both before and after, but this one was clearly the largest. The United States focused more on developing the land already acquired and ended its focus on the western expansion.
Manifest Destiny was a fresh new catchword at the time, having been coined in 1845 in the New York Morning News. Manifest Destiny was a belief held by Americans that the United States was destined to expand across the continent. To any American at the end of 1840, it could only mean one place called California. A great extent of territory recently wrested from Mexican possession, largely unexplored and certainly unexploited.
From the beginning, the gold rush was very different. Unlike other westward movements in American history, the gold seekers did not come to settle, but to take. President Thomas Jefferson purchased the territory of Louisiana from the French government in 1803 for $15 million. The purchase stretched from the Rocky Mountains to the Mississippi River and from New Orleans to Canada. This expansion doubled the size of the United States. Their long journey was more an adventure than a commitment. We call them the 49ers because the treasure seekers left for California in 1849. Just getting to California caused great anxiety. A 15,000-mile ship journey around the tip of South America could have taken up to 5 months. In 1849, 500 ships alone made it to California. If you were willing to risk cholera, cutting across the Isthmus of Panama might only take 3 months. Otherwise, if they didn't want to risk it, the ship would have to go around the bottom tip of South America.
Women were also involved in the rush. They were prostitutes, single entrepreneurs, married women, and poor and wealthy women. There were many different ethnicities, including Hispanic, Native, European, Jewish, Chinese, and Anglo-American. Some reasons they came varied, depending on the people. Some of them came with their husbands refusing to be left back home to take care of themselves. Some came because their husbands sent for them. The single people and widows came for the venture and economic opportunities. Some people died on the trail trying to get to California. They died from cholera, fever, and many other causes. Mining accidents, diseases, or mining disputes often left women to be widows. Women could take a break from the traditional work from life in a gold field. The California Gold Rush ended by 1864. For the next 20 years, hydraulic mines were the main source of gold.
The creations of mines and settlements led to widespread damage of habitat and consequently the destruction of thousands of animals. This played a role in the destruction of Native Americans. The animals played a big part as they were a big food source. Many of the California Indians were conquered and died. Almost half the miners were surprisingly Indians. The Indians were called diggers Because of this, the Native Americans created complications as it brought them against their own people, and they chose to believe that the white miners were their friends who saw that they could use them to get more gold. The need to transport people and products to and from the newly settled region led to the creation of buildings and faculties, partially transportation routes, not any before the gold rush in California. The dirt road usually was used so much that they were often unuseful because of how muddy it was. This helped to reaffirm the United States east-west ties. New methods of transportation developed as railroads were built and steamships came into regular service.
The first participants in the California Gold Rush had no idea what was going to happen in the years to come. The prosperity initiated helped convince those in the power to admit California to the Union. Settlements grew while others were created and subsequently abandoned, and Native Americans faced almost total destruction. The California Gold Rush, like any major event in history, had both positive and negative effects. California was not territory prior to the gold rush because of the amount of money. People became rich overnight, but most didn't know how to spend the money they earned. It became the 31st state in the Union in 1850. The California Gold Rush attracted a total of $2 billion worth of precious metal. The economy changed overnight with people all over coming to mine and sell the gold for other profits.
In the end, in 1864, the gold dried up, leaving towns empty. Those towns were called ghost towns. The cost of living became high, and even if you found any gold, there would be a slim chance that it would be enough to support your family. With what prices were for supplies, California's agricultural industry emerged. About 10% stayed, while others went back to be with their families and jobs. California is now known as the Golden State. It is one of the nation's richest states and has a population of about 35 million residents.
If you listen carefully, deep in the heart of California's gold country, you'll hear it. History repeating itself.
See that?
That's what the fever's all about.
That's what it's all about. Once you find that, you're so excited about it, then you're going back more and more and more.
Russ Kurtz has been prospecting for 40 years, but now he's got a lot of company. Like the original 49ers, these are the 09ers, the weekend warriors of the new gold rush.
Some days you sit here and you make 2 cents. Some days you make a couple $100s.
Unlike the stock market, the price of gold has stayed rock steady, prompting amateur prospectors to pick up a pan.
They run about $115.50.
Calls to miners' supply shops, like this one off Highway 49, have been pouring in.
If they got laid off, they got more time in their hands, they're going to go out and find some gold, help pay the bills a little bit.
There is still plenty of gold left. It's estimated the original prospectors only got about 15% of what's in there, the so-called easy gold. The rest, that requires a lot of work.
I might not be rich, but I can eat, I can feed my family.
Todd Osborne is a landscaper. Business has been slow, but the river hasn't.
I figure it's better to go out and make $25 or $50 a day than it is to sit around and feel sorry for myself.
He's realistic. After all, history shows that gold panning as a career doesn't always pan out.
People flocked from all 4 corners of the world to strike it rich.
And did they?
Most of them, no.
But Todd has his successes. Today, he had a little more.
Actually, look, there's one pretty one starting to show.
Flakes of prosperity that you'd like to keep quiet.
You don't want to blow your own horn too much and attract too much attention.
No shouting eureka.
Nobody's listening.
In this economy, silence is golden. Lee Cowan, NBC News, somewhere in a California riverbed.